Hi, this is Amy Magyar at FromWithin Coaching, and today we are unpacking CliftonStrengths positivity. And as you can see, I'm super excited because it is number 4 for me. And as always, we're here with Coach Augusta, good crawl, but we have a guest today, which Coach LJ. So we're really excited to talk to him. He also has positivity. We were just laughing and saying that this could go, as always, for 25 to 30 minutes, or with me and LJ, it could go for 8 hours. So we're going to try to keep this to sort of a bit of a minimum so that you're not completely, we don't completely bore you. Here's what I'm going to say about this recording is that this is not in lieu of a coaching session with a coach on your strengths, whether that's at FromWithin or with another strengths coach, but this is a chance for you to hear a little bit more about our stories of strengths, where it's come up, where we've noticed it, both the highs and lows of our strengths when they're dialed up a little high. So it's just a chance to have a really great conversation. So as always, Augusta, thank you for being here. And LJ will do a quick introduction. What I'm going to start with is the CliftonStrengths definition of positivity, which is people strong in the positivity theme have an enthusiasm that's contagious. They are upbeat and can get others excited about where they're going to do, they are upbeat and can get others excited about what they're going to do. In my mind, if I had to pause and say, what is positivity? I think it's this idea that somebody with positivity is that keeper of a flame. They're a keeper of this, what's possible, of this light, maybe sometimes in darkness, and they show up in a room with that keeper. So they bring the flame with them. They don't just hold on to it, but they share it. And so that's my definition of positivity. Augusta, I'd love to hear a little bit about what you think.
Yeah, I love that. I was really visualizing that. And that kind of ties in a little bit, the flame and what somebody with positivity brings, because for me, when I think about positivity, I'm really thinking about an energy. And it's this energy, this ability to, with their own, the energy of positivity, to energize others with that enthusiasm and optimism and ability to really, see the positive, even, or the positive pole of situations, even in, adverse situations. So yeah, for me, it's that flame is energy.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it. Flame, energy. Coach LJ, will you do a quick introduction and tell us who you are? For those of you that maybe haven't seen LJ on a couple of our other Unpacked strengths, will you just dive in for a second and share a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Amy. Hi, Amy and Augusta. Thank you very much for having me. So I'm a coach, and I also call myself a talent whisperer. Because I'm able to, I don't know why, but I'm able to see all the positivity and also the possibilities in people, and what they're able to accomplish. Yeah. And that's the thing I like the most about coaching, and also about life, is meeting new people, or meeting people in general, and having conversations with those, and come up, with situations or possibilities where they could go. I mean, I'm not the advisor, but I might be the gesture to say, maybe this is a good way to proceed. Or people always come to me to ask for help.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You just single-handedly basically describe that positivity, that energy, that possibility. I think sometimes people think that positivity means you have to be happy. And you often, people with positivity do show up very joyous at times, but it doesn't mean happy, but it means possibility and optimism. Yep. So LJ, will you do me a favor? I'm going to hold up my strengths because I have positivity as well. So I'm going to show my strengths in terms of where I'm at. I have individualization, strategic, connectedness, positivity number 4, and then woo.
Okay, so this time I win, Coach Amy.
There you go.
Oh, number 1.
Number 1.
Positivity is number 1. communication number 2, realtor number 3, woo number 4, and individualization number 5.
So let me just say this,
Beautiful.
folks. This is what's so cool is that we share 3.
Yes.
And so we're going to play a little bit today about how those show up for us, because even though we share 3, we both have individualization, which means just because we have 3 that we share, they may show up completely different. We believe they may show up completely different. So Augusta, you've got your hands full today.
Yeah, no kidding.
I wish you luck on this.
Exciting.
Augusta, why don't we do this? We use me and LJ as sort of both the guests. What questions do you have for us about positivity?
Gosh, a lot, but I will go one at a time. Amy, I'll ask you first. I love seeing the similarities in both of your strengths. And LJ, you're in the perfect career, everything, because what I know about strengths and everything, I mean, that constellation is fantastic. So, but my question is for Amy, actually. And when you talk about positivity, how has that, if you look back and kind of see the dots and able to connect the dots now that you kind of know about your strengths, where have you seen positivity really show up and shine? Maybe in, your past work, not this coaching work, but, your past self.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I was in the sporting goods industry, which was I was an athlete, but not good enough to become a professional athlete. So I decided to get into the sporting goods industry where I could support athletes. So it worked out really well, and did that for about 25 years. And I was in a number of different roles, but a lot of it was about connect. So I'm a connector. So connectedness, individualization plays in, but the positivity showed up where the industry that I was in specifically was very driven by Mother Nature, and Mother Nature is not nice to work with. She's very finicky. She doesn't always snow when you want it to. She's not always sunny and bright when you want to. And yet I often found in my office that I was the one that said, okay, so we didn't get the kind of snow we thought we were going to get this year, but it was still cold and we were able to do X, Y, Z. And so I was always sort of able to find or help others see the bright spot and maybe what was happening if we were in a tough place. I think it really showed up, especially at the end of my career before I decided to coach full time. I oversaw a group of customer service specialists. And I remember working there late one night. I think I was actually working on my coaching certification, and I overheard a call. I don't know why our call center was open at 11 o'clock at night, but it was open. And I heard this young man dealing with this woman, and this woman, you could just tell, was just chewing him up one side and down the other. And he got off the phone, and there was about 10 other people in that call center room. And he said, Jesus Christ, what a bitch. Excuse my language, people, but he was so hung up and was just like, ugh. And he didn't know I was there. And I walked out of my office, and the look on his face was like, I didn't know you were there. And my comment to him was, well, thank God you're not married to her. And that is positivity, right? Helping him see that he was, that he didn't have to live with this person who just chewed on him for a while and just drained him. And he just was like, thanks, Amy. I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. She sounded like a handful. And he's like, you're right. I'm really grateful I'm not married to her. And he was able to not take that frustration into the next call, right? Because I was able to kind of make light of it, but also show him the fact that he should be really grateful he wasn't married to her.
Find the gratitude. Yes. Always. It's always
I hope
there.
that helps.
And that's what I hear. And, even with you, LJ, I mean, that's really what I know. And I hear, it's not the Pollyannish kind of, oh, everything's great. But as as we all know, there are two sides to everything. Everything is a whole. And so when we look at it, they're like a pole almost, positive and negative. I see people with high positivity kind of in the middle to the positive end of the pole. And that's just where they live. And they see that. And they're able to, instead of focusing, maybe your gentleman might have been wanting to focus on that very negative bottom of it, that situation. But positivity, somebody is able to see that positive and show or speak to it to someone and change their mindset.
You know, you just made me think of something when you talked about what it brought to him, but also the word energy that you used is, I think positivity, those with positivity are often the energy bringer
Mhm.
and the energy monitor. Because I don't know about you, LJ, but I mean, I know it's also because of my individualization and connectedness and woo, but I can read a room and figure out exactly who's having a tough day in about a split second. And that's strategic, right? So, you
Mhm.
know, really quickly, easy to sort of get a sense of somebody's not okay. And it's interesting because that's a bit empathy, but I don't take on their energy. I'm just become aware of it. And then my desire is to help them maybe look at something a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's for me, if I relate it to former work, um, well, so there is, for me, there is, at the end of the day, there is always light at the tunnel, where in whatever situation I'm in. I used to be in sales all my life, and I still am, more or less. And I had these moments when I knew I went into a very difficult conversation with customers, and they were like multi-million dollar deals, and I knew it would be. This is the way I did it. I knew they would be very difficult.
Yeah.
The moment I drove up to them, I said to myself, and I asked the universe. I really literally did. I asked the universe, I have a very positive outcome with this conversation. And of course, there were always had like conversations where it didn't happen, and maybe rightly so.
Right, right.
But I was always and always this. I always had this positive energy, like I'm gonna do this. I mean, what's going on? Let's do this.
Yeah.
And what can go wrong?
Right. So you walked into those meetings knowing that you may be having a challenging conversation, but you weren't afraid to have them because you saw that there was going to be something that came out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And it's also the small details of driving up there and then see a rainbow, and I'm like, yes,
Right. We
this
always
is
look
it.
for signs.
Yeah.
We are signs everywhere. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so I'm this very intuitive guy. I'm to be honest, sometimes I think I'm very naive, but I don't care. I'm like, this is it. It will be all good at the end of the day.
You know, I think that's something, Augusta, that we as folks of positivity, we have heard of. You're being naive. There's no way the situation could possibly be good. And I will say this: we're recording this during December of 2020, which will historically be the celebration of the last of 2020. And I think what's interesting is that for a lot of people, there's going to be dissertations and theses that are written on the silver lining of 2020, what came out of it, right? And it may be that we can't see it right now, but I think for each one of us, we've all had moments this year where something was a silver lining. It maybe wasn't everything was perfect, but we were able to find something out of it. And I think, LJ, to your point, it's what comes out of it is we're able to make something that maybe nobody could find anything good about it. We found something good about it, even if the fact that what's good about it was that it was over, right? So that, you know, but we're always scanning for possibility. And that's kind of the neat thing about positivity is that we are constantly seeking. It's a growth mindset for sure versus a closed one. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
And it's also, and then I will stop about it. But
no, go. We love
the sales process, I had to do cold calls like no tomorrow, and I didn't care at all. I mean, you can say 100 times no to me, 100, and the first time I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. There is always room to grow and always room to get the fish.
Yeah.
So
you just said one of my favorite things about sales is that it's funny when someone says no to me, and I was I was in sales, but for a long time I was on the other side of the table. So LJ would have been the one selling to me.
Yeah.
And then I switched and became one of the people that sold. Is when somebody would say no to me, I'd go, that's awesome. Great. You just don't have enough information to say yes. It's totally okay. Let me see what I can do about getting you more information. I didn't take the no as a no to me. I took it as, oh, it's okay. The person just doesn't have everything that they need to make that decision to see why this is yes for them or their company, right? And that's positivity, is not taking that personally, whatever's kind of coming at, and just being like, it's all right. Well, we're gonna find an entry point here. Yeah.
Yeah, to the yes.
Yeah. LJ, I'm curious, where do you remember being a child and growing up, where positivity showed up for you when you were little? Because this is one of the favorite questions Augusta and I have started asking. It's so fun. But what do you remember?
It definitely is the moment my parents announced they would divorce. And although I was in a rut at that moment in time, and a period afterwards, but looking back, because in the introduction you did, that's what came up in my mind about positivity. I just had the energy, and that's it, the energy to go through it and to make it to the other end. And so for me, there was a real, as well, now looking back again on it, it's like that was a real game changer. Being positive.
It creates a different outcome.
Yes.
And so you controlled the outcome, in a sense, of an uncontrollable situation. It was how you perceived, right?
Yeah, and also it didn't put me down. Maybe for a certain amount of time, but at the end of the day, I kept positive. I was like, I'm going to get it better out of this. So that's for me the big thing.
This strength really is such a gift. I hear that. I really hear that, because I was, when y'all were just talking a minute ago, I was thinking about challenges, right? And so how you navigate challenges is, how you grow, number one, but also whether or not you're going to go through and accept challenges. So for you, that sounded like that was a really challenging time, and you navigated it in a way that I bet also you're showing up in that energy, and with that number one strength of yours affected how, I don't know if you have siblings, but it certainly affected how your parents even probably navigated it. So again, it goes to that, really how we show up with that energy. If you have positivity, the impact that it has on others is so powerful.
I will say this though, is that it's not that LJ going through that probably didn't feel the loss or feel anger, the grieving process of having a family divorce, but it's just that that's not where you dwelled, right? You felt, but you didn't stay there, because there was that idea of, well, I need to move through this. Is that right? Or did I just totally make that up for you?
No, I think that's, it's a combination, I think, of being aware of what's going on. And at the same time, okay, this is going on, but it doesn't dictate my life. And at that moment in time, I wasn't maybe that aware as what I'm expressing now. But I did. So I showed up the way I would like to continue. Although I was in the situation I just described.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious, and Augusta, if you don't mind me asking, LJ, this one. LJ, as a dad, you were a proud father. You remind me in so many ways. Augusta and I have known you now for a while. We hold you up here because we just love being around your light. But we have a feeling sometimes that you're probably, the comedian Robin Williams talked about this. He's like, I'm this famous comedian that makes everybody laugh, and my kids think I'm not funny. And I wonder for you, if being a dad, having this positivity. Do you have those moments where your kids are like, Dad, can I just be unhappy about this? Can I just not want to do this? Or where do you see that maybe be a challenge for people in your life having positivity? Because again, as strengths, as Augusta always points out, we have to remember that not everybody has the strength that you have. And so sometimes that can be in itself, a rub. But what's it like for you having positivity as number one and being a dad? Is that a good thing or is it challenging?
Well, it's a very
Depends
good
how old the
thing.
kids are.
And what you describe is like, I have kids in the range 9 to 11, not 9 to 12, almost 13 at this moment in time. And they're almost, I have a few years left where they will laugh with me over my jokes, but there will come a time where they're like, not funny, Dad.
Yep.
Embarrassing.
Right.
So
right.
having said that, I realize also that positivity, if you pull it out to the max and you go over it, so you upended it,
Yeah.
it can be very confrontational for people.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because I've seen it and felt it, but I want to see what you think.
Well, they look at you and like, but don't you see I'm grieving or that? So you might affect people just by being you.
Yeah.
Because they are in a different spot at that time, and that's okay. So I have to be aware to come down.
Yeah.
And not say like after a friend of mine has left his wife, oh well, there are plenty of fish in the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not there will come a time to say that.
Right, but right when it happens is not the time, right?
Yeah. So I have to dial down.
Yeah.
Because I see always every situation gives possibilities.
Yes. Yeah. I think, LJ, I've run into that too in understanding especially after taking the CliftonStrengths, understanding that when my positivity is dialed up really high, it can come up against people who just are not ready to see the possibility or see the silver lining. And what I need to do is at least say, I'm excited to be able to show you some possibility. I'm going to totally let you be what you are right now and feel, because that's going to help you move through what's next. I had that happen to me once where my sister, and a relationship was ended, not on my behalf, but on somebody else's behalf. And I remember my sister throwing a little positivity at me that day on the phone. And she said, I'm so excited for you to see how you can be standing on your own. And I paused and I thought to myself, oh God, that's what I do to people, isn't it? Huh. And I said to her, I love you and I'm so not there yet, but you give me 2 weeks and say the same thing again. And I think that's understanding that, I can say that to LJ, he can say it to me, and are the reactions going to be, yeah, no, for sure. But especially for those that don't have positivity high, be gentle, right? Understand that they're not quite ready to see the possibility in sort of this, whatever is happening for them. I will also say this, and I'm being mindful of the time because we could keep talking. It's about 23 minutes in. During 2020, I had a really rough April. In March, middle of March, Vermont shut down. And I suddenly started my connectedness, started to see all the ways that COVID and then everything that happened after COVID with sort of opening up our wounds, with George Floyd dying. And I had a tough April. And I think what made it so hard was I couldn't see the silver lining. And when somebody who has positivity cannot see the silver lining, it was like it hurt even more. I felt so much worse than I think I would have if I hadn't had positivity, because I know what it feels like to always be able to find possibility, and I couldn't. And it was a tough month because I was fighting that more than what was really happening. And once I sort of let go and said, it's okay, this is a time you have no reference to, just let go of the expectations. And the second I did that, I was able to start to see the silver lining, but I was trying to almost control to try to gain positivity, and it wasn't working. The second I let go, it popped up. So just a personal share I wanted to say. After that, the whole rest of the year shifted, but April was not my best year, or best month for sure.
That's,
You know, it's so interesting, isn't it, LJ? No, I was just going to ask if that, for me, I hear a sense of, because you have positivity that is high, you don't get connected to an outcome, because sometimes we do that to control things, or in fear, obviously. And this has been a very obviously fearful couple of months. And so LJ, do you ever find yourself in a bind where positivity is not showing up in a way, and you find that you're trying to focus only on one outcome instead of looking at the possibilities? I don't know. That's just what came up with me with Amy just spoke to.
well, that's an interesting observation, because in these times, I think the person I am as an extrovert, COVID is killing.
Yeah.
So I can resist that, and I can say, yeah, I'm more dimensional than this screen. So two-dimensional. I would like to hug people and really look them in the eye. And then I say, okay, given that, I might get into a corner and cry myself to sleep, or let's get alive and see what I can do about it.
Yeah.
A situation that is a given.
Yeah.
So, and then positivity shows up again.
So I hear choose in there.
Oh,
and I wrote
right?
that. I actually, I remember writing that down, because the clients that I've had that have had positivity, it really, to them, it's like attitude. Your attitude is a choice, and you with positivity can really, that's what you believe.
Yeah.
Inherently. And so that word just really, you have the ability to really see that and make a choice.
Yeah. Love it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh,
And then
so go ahead, LJ.
because now it gets interesting. It's like when you're, and then I feel when I'm like upping it a little bit, I'm getting away from other people as well, because I'm not, I'm too positive.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of where other people are. Yeah. It's like with coaching as well. They come in and I'm like, well, I have to sit on my hands, but I know what's going on. And who am I to think that or even say that? But it's so obvious.
Yeah.
That it can become a trap.
Yeah.
Where you're going to advise people, because I'm the positive guy. I see the possibilities, but I'm like, yeah, who are you?
Right.
It's not about you, it's about the other. Yeah. So that is where where I have to be careful as well.
And it's just, as we are monitoring other people's energy and where they're positive or feeling blue or whatever it is, we just have to make sure that we're also monitoring our own energy to make sure that we're not showing up sort of overinflated, or, we talked about us being the flame, the holder of the flame. We want to make sure that if a bonfire is not required at that moment, that we're not quite at that level. So,
exactly. Burn people.
LJ, I'm going to let you have the second to last comment as we're wrapping up. What do people need to know about positivity? What's something you want to make sure people who either have it or work around somebody with positivity, or a family member with positivity, what would you want them to know?
So for the ones that don't have it, just look out for people who have it.
Yeah.
And that might be open, that they might help you to get as Augusta just started this conversation, get the energy.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like just hook on the energy for a while to get you out of a rut, or to see the possibility that might be there.
Yeah.
And for the ones that have it, be careful not to upend it or to go off the chart, because you might miss something and make it. I see it as I definitely subscribe to the energy thing, because when you have too much of it, it's like a plow, and you plow everybody in front of you away.
Great metaphor. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So just be aware.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Augusta, how about you? Last thought.
Yeah, last thought. I just popped in when LJ was just talking, and I really hear that it's an ability to live in an attitude or a mindset of life is happening for me instead of life is happening to me. And we all know a lot of people, and us at times, can really be in that energetic of life is happening to me. And so the beauty is tagging along or getting that energy of it moves you up into a different level of life is happening for me. So
thank you.
I'm going to end on positivity. Although that is not one of Augusta's top 5, I just want to say my positivity is on fire right now because of what she just said and how beautifully she said it, that I'm getting the energy and the hope and the possibility for others. So you just totally gave me this incredible boost. And I think that is something that I've noticed about positivity, is that I'd much rather be around somebody who believes what you just said versus life happens to you and there's nothing you can do. So be also careful if you have positivity, be aware of who you're around, because you will pick up on their energy a little bit, like empathy, but just know that you can be someone who can bring it, but you can also gain it. And Augusta, you just did that for me. So thank you. All right, that's it.
Welcome.
Well, a little bit longer. And again, we could have done this for 8 hours. Coach LJ, I'm really grateful that you're a part of this. Thank you. We're going to see you again for Woo.
Yeah.
Augusta, thank you for bringing, dealing with the 2 positivity kids, because we just kind of giggled the whole time. Because that's
wonderful.
us. So you handled this well. All right, we'll see you on the next Clifton Strengths Unpacked, and thank you again for letting us share some energy with you today. Bye-bye.